Hey all. So before we get into the main video, we're going to be a little bit serious for a second. We finished filming. Scott reached out to us about 20 minutes afterwards and let us know that, well, at the time, he didn't have a charity, so to speak. Life is a funny thing and can impact you in ways that, you never really anticipate. So somebody very close to them had reached out talking about somebody who actually needed an organ transplant, needed a kidney in this case, and he told us that it was something that impacted him quite a lot, and he asked us to share the following video with you guys, and so we thought it best to put it up front, so this way, if anybody's interested in helping or wanting to donate to this charity, they can absolutely go ahead and do so. So without that, you'll see the regular interview right after this, roughly minute long clip, but please pay attention to this for a really important message from Scott. Thanks so much.
Hey there, guys. Just wanted to add on to our interview. We didn't have any sponsors or anything this year. Didn't have time to really get together for our charity like I normally do, but just had a reminder tonight of how really important that organ donation is. So I'm going to go ahead and continue that for this year. So you will see the stickers on our car, and I'll mention it as much as I can on our page. And organ donation is just so important that it hits a lot of people, and there's some people I know right now that could really use one, so use a kidney right now. So just want to add this on, and everybody sign up to be an organ donor. If you can be a living organ donor, it's the most wonderful thing in the world. So that's all I got. See you in South Bend. Thanks.
Welcome back to the 2024 Tire Rack One Lap of America, presented by Grassroots Motorsport Magazine, with coverage this year brought to you by Hooked on Driving, Everyday Driver, and the Valente Group. With us back this year, Bryan and I, are Scott and Nick. Now, if you recall, Scott last year was a teddy bear. He's changed. He's back to human form, and they're only a little bit late this year. So, gentlemen, welcome back. And, I guess the question is, what do you expect to do this year?
Not wreck.
Good start.
Yeah. So, I mean, I missed out last year, but, the year before that, I ended up wrecking Camaro out in South Carolina. It's been repaired. We've made some changes, and just hoping for a top 20 finish this year.
So Bryan has a distinct recollection of your vehicle, and he described it to me in very poetic terms. Bryan, why don't you go ahead and ask if the vehicle is still the same?
What it was, what did I say? It smoked like a diesel rolling coal and sounded like the release of the Hounds of Hell.
Yeah, yes, it did.
Basically sums it up.
So yeah, we literally 2 years ago, 9 days before one lap, we pulled the engine and rebuilt it. Like, it was on a stand. I had taken it out to Barber for some practice laps and ended up blowing the engine a couple weeks before that. So 9 days out from one lap 2 years ago, we were rebuilding that and didn't quite seat the rings. And so, of course, we just had a ton of blow-by. So lots of oil, lots of smoke. I'm surprised it held on as long as it did. And, so everything's working way much better this year.
So is that it hiding in the background there?
It is. So the driver's side, as you can see, has been repaired, and it's a lot quieter. It doesn't blow smoke.
It definitely looks a lot straighter than it did after meeting the tires at Kershaw.
Oh, man, that was fun.
So that being said, since we're not going there, what track do you anticipate as being the most challenging this year? And what track are you looking forward to the most? And how are you guys splitting the driving duties? What's going on there?
I think we're just going to do 50-50 basically on driving.
Yeah. NCM is always been a good track for me. I've had a few days there. I'm really excited to run that one and race that again. As far as most challenging, I mean, there's a few of them out there that I'm going to let him do because I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Pit race I've never been on before. It looks like a big boy track. So kind of looking forward to that, but it's got some challenges. High Plains, there's a couple turns on that are a little little tricky, and blind, which is a good combination. So that one will be a little different. As far as the one I'm most looking forward to, I mean, NCM was great last year. I did really well there. Felt really good. Putnam Park, I think I have the most confidence in. I put in a lot of laps there last summer doing some instructing out there, so I know that track really well, and I think it'll suit the car well.
Okay. So I know, Bryan, you're asking before about, sort of how they paired up. So why don't you go ahead? I know you're curious about that.
Yeah. So how did the partnership between you two arise, other than being Iowa boys?
How did that? We were
The first year we got it together. I mean, I had maybe a month's notice, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
We were mutual friends with Mark and Mark John, those guys. So he kind of got us in touch with each other and just jumped into it. This year it worked out well. I've got another project car. We were talking earlier about spending all of our money on cars that I have way overspent on. Yeah. So, as everybody knows, one lap's a big budget killer. So it just worked out well. Nick was on the waiting list this year, so it worked out well to just team up and both get us in there.
Yeah. I was excited I was excited that Scott said he wasn't going, but I was like, oh, a spot opened up. So then I was like, I need a co-driver. I'm like, why don't we just do co-driver again this year? And it worked out. He's like, oh yeah, let's do that. So I'm excited to be back with him, because 3 years ago it was our first year together.
Yeah.
And then the year after that I brought my cousin.
Yep.
And honestly, he's a great co-driver. So I'm excited.
Looking forward to it.
So, Scott, you're kind of like the Switzerland of muscle cars, I guess, because you, if memory serves correctly, have a Mustang, right?
I do.
A purple one. Yeah. Nice purple Mach 1, right?
Yes.
And you're going in a Camaro. Why?
This will be my fourth one lap. One of them has been in a Mustang. The other three have been in Camaro twice and the Z06 once. So.
Yeah.
Bryan, what do you got?
I'm kind of easy that way. I'm kind of a slut that way, I guess.
You're the one lap lot lizard. We like it.
I'll anything. I'll get. Throw me some.
Open the door and he'll get in. It's fine.
Yep.
So, but that actually brings me to something. Bryan, hold on, give me 1 second. So, what do you do as a day job?
Me?
Yeah.
I sell commercial fencing as my main job.
Okay. And Nick, what do you do?
My wife and I, we own some nutrition clubs in the Des Moines, Iowa area.
Okay. Very cool. So I just wanted to get that down first because I wanted to see if your day job meshed with your side hobby here. So.
Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, no.
As long as you don't drive through fences, you're good, right?
It's a good reoccurring income if people do. So.
Yeah. All right, Bryan, what do you got?
So Scott, I know, looking at, over the years, looking at your Facebook, that you have a another interesting hobby, going and exploring abandoned places. Now,
we do.
While out on the one lap, have you come across any places that you were like, oh wow, I've got to come back and check this place out?
That is a great question, and probably something that I should be doing as I'm co-driving down the road in the passenger seat, searching for places. A lot of those places take a decent amount of research to find. So that's a great question. That's going to give me something to do this year. So I'm gonna do that. But the short answer is no, I have not.
So I think a good place for that would be, we're not going there this year, but Mid-America Motorplex. As you're getting into Mid-America, there's that old abandoned school building. You sort of have to turn a left right before you get to Mid-America. I'd be curious to see what's going on there. And you've also got the abandoned track near South Bend. What was it, Bryan? Studebaker, or who was it that was there?
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not abandoned.
Trees.
I think Bendix uses it as for testing, but that's where the Studebaker Grove of Trees is. If you go on to Google Maps and go just a little west of Tire Rack, you'll see this egg-shaped oval,
Oh,
and
okay.
if you pull out, you will actually see written in trees Studebaker.
Okay, interesting.
That's cool.
So I
know
think
exactly what school you're talking about. I was doing some instructing at RPM a couple years ago, and my wife came over to do a ride along with me in the morning. And right after that, she drove directly to that school and explored it and gave me the lowdown on it. So I know exactly where you're.
okay. Nice. Yeah, that's sort of my marker whenever I'm going there. It's, go past the Children of the Corn School, and then you're
Yes.
pretty much there. It's a very eerie place. And I remember going through there with tornado sirens going off, and we were there. I guess this had to be 2008, and sort of it got very very cold very quickly. The area, you feel it getting sucked up, and you look off and the air and the sirens go off, and obviously there's no shelter there whatsoever. It's all wide open, and we all just stood there through the end back because there's a field right behind, or at least there used to be a field right behind the track, and you just see this like tornado going right by, and we're all
Wow.
there just watching, like, don't turn. So, yeah,
Yikes.
My
absolutely.
memory from there is 2012, seeing all the storm chasers in their big armored vehicles
Yep.
running down the interstate headed towards Kansas City.
Yep.
And then we got to drive through that.
We did. I remember that.
Them, you're in the wrong area.
True. When you see like Reed Timmer and other people go in that direction, pointing, you're going the wrong way. I'm like,
You go the other
Brock
way.
said this way. Good. So what do you think your biggest challenge is going to be this year? I mean, there's some variety of new tracks, some pretty stiff competition, particularly in that category. I seem to have noticed there's another Beaver Nugget Billy sighting in that category.
Just saw
that's
that
going to be
today.
fun. Yeah.
Billy's driving the GT500.
Nick's going, damn, is it too late to back out?
Yeah, can I get a refund?
So yeah,
No
what do you think your
returns,
biggest
no
challenge is gonna be
refunds.
this year?
Yeah, I mean, as far as challenges, I mean, I think the car is going to do well this year. I really got it dialed in. It's just going to be the competition, really, just the tracks and the competition, and just, I mean, we have some of the world's best drivers in this race. So obviously, going up with those guys with way more experience than I'll ever get in my entire life, that's always going to be difficult. But I just love the people, the experience, the team. I mean, everybody just kind of comes together when we do this, which was really awesome. So, this is just a once in a lifetime opportunity, and look forward to it every year, and look forward to going up against some of those guys on some of these tracks.
So this is now a fourth in a lifetime opportunity for you. And do you go and after an event say like, yeah, I raced against a Le Mans driver and potentially beat him? Is that like something you go to put on a T-shirt?
I got this one.
Go
So
ahead.
shortly after one lap last year, I don't do cars and coffees very often, but it was kind of one of the opening ones, and a bunch of my friends were going, so I took my car up there, and a guy asked me, he's like, "Oh, you did one lap this year, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, I had a lot of fun." And he's like, "Well, how'd you do?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to tell you what place I finished, but I'm going to tell you that I finished 6 places behind Randy Popst in a Hellcat Red Eye." Because it sounds way better than 36 or whatever I got.
It's all perspective. You got it. Yeah, exactly. That's great. And so you mentioned, obviously your fourth time. So from your first time doing it to now, what has changed in your mind? Is it still the same challenge? Are there different challenges now that you know what to expect? I mean, is the unknown a little less scary, but now there's more sort of planning that goes into it? What's changed over the past 4 years?
I think we've just kind of fine-tuned things. I mean, really I guess I've been myself spending more time on the simulator, which I hadn't done. I didn't even have a simulator before. So it's nice to, a lot of these guys have raced on these tracks for hours and hours. So it's nice to be able to get some laps in and actually know which way I'm turning at the top of the blind hill. So that's been something that has changed. Other than that, I mean, kind of refined our packing lists and what we need and don't need, so we're not dragging a bunch of crap that we don't need. And I don't know. Other than that, it's not much.
Yeah.
Bryan, what do you got?
Well, speaking of doing simulator work, what type of sim do you have? Because I know a lot of our drivers now are going to the sim and are using the mods on Assetto Corsa to get some of these tracks that aren't readily available on other services. So what sim, your wheel and pedal setup and what do you have?
So it's PC. I run Assetto Corsa because that's the only way you're going to find some of these tracks. Like RPM, for instance, is on there. None of the other ones have all these tracks that we go to. They'll have some of the big ones like at Barber, Atlanta, and stuff. And then as far as equipment, I've got I don't know what kind of seat it is, but it's a chassis, triple monitors. I've got a Logitech Pro wheel and pedals they just came out with, I think, last year, which is really nice.
The new direct drive.
Yeah. It feels so much better than the Thrustmaster ones I had before. It's super realistic. And I've got ACC as well that I'll drive occasionally, but I spend most of my time just on Assetto Corsa.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I'll tell you, it's really amazing because we've been hearing, and I know Bryan's keen because Bryan does a lot of simulator stuff. He's keen with that. I'm not. I never had a chance to get into it really. Didn't have the time, but it's been very interesting to watch and see the transformation. Even in the past, 11 years, Bryan, 12 years that you and I have been sort of together with this. It's at first it was, have you been there before? Yes, no, and that was sort of your experience level. Then it was, I've been watching YouTube videos and watching people's track day footage to get a sense of it. And then everybody was complaining, well, this car was too slow, different lines, yada, yada. Now I'd say in the past, even couple of years, I guess, it's really become more and more prevalent. Bryan, what was it back in 2012? I think it was iRacing had sort of fooled around with the idea of maybe partnering with us for something.
2013.
Yeah, so around there. And, but to see the growth of that and the exponential use of it now is kind of neat. And I'm for it because if it gives somebody a sense of familiarity with the track, obviously it creates a safer environment. But I also can't help but wonder how much of that is artificial confidence at the end of the day, because the way Brock's always described it and Senior always described it is that it's an 8/10 event. And I'm curious if we're seeing more people running closer to 9 or 10/10 because they feel that familiarity and comfort with the track. So, how does that factor in? So, yeah, it gives you a familiarity, but is it an artificially inflated sense of familiarity, I guess?
Good point.
So I'll be curious to see this year and follow that along, because remember, it's the whole reason why we have that first lap. It's your sighting lap. It's your recon lap. You're supposed to use that to actually learn the track and then go off. So, is that becoming an antiquated model for it, or do we just say show up and have at it? So be curious as we move forward to monitor that, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Bri?
No, I've used all mine up.
This is. I need to give him more peanuts. But in any event, that's the. So we touched base ahead of time. You guys don't have any sponsors this year. You're independently wealthy, which is nice. Used to be. Well, it's from all those cars that you get in and out of. It's very lucrative. But we are looking forward to seeing you guys. Is there? Oh yeah, tires. Actually, I do have a question there. What tires are you running on that thing?
So right now we have.
If you say round and black, I'm going to hit you through the screen. He looked around and checked.
Well, yeah, I can remember which ones these were on here. But the Pilot Sport Force is what we're planning on running. I have a really good set of practice tires from 2022. So I'm trying to get a waiver from Tire Rack on that right now. But If not, we'll probably be running those, or I don't know. We might change it up last minute, but probably the Passport Force.
It's a nice one. I like it. So nice. Well, we're very much looking forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks. We're within 2 weeks now, Bryan, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not this week, but the following week. We all see each other on Friday or Thursday night. So
Yeah.
we're excited. We're counting down. Looking forward to catching up with everybody in person. Thanks so much for some time. Any last minute shout outs you have or comments?
I'm looking forward to seeing the grandpas. I watched their
Yeah.
interview. It's always great to run into them. I talk to them somewhat regularly throughout the year and help out each other with some things. And the rest of the boys from Iowa and everybody else really. We've got kind of a group that we have some sit down meals with as much as we can. It's always nice to kind of touch base with everybody in one spot. Yeah, it's a good group.
Nice. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Bryan, always good to have you on with me. But for the 2024 Tire Rack One Lap of America presented by Grassroots Motorsport Magazine, with coverage this year brought to you by Hooked on Driving, Everyday Driver, and the Valente Group, I'm Solomon, that's Bryan, and these are two guys in a Camaro. We'll see you soon.
See ya.